Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of No More Future. So the last place we left off, we had a pretty awesome fight scene on the train with Daphne engaging this mysterious thug. She beat the ever-loving crap out of him, and, well, apparently she sometimes manifests this thing. This, Hedorah. Yeah, it's Hedorah from Godzilla. Everyone say hello to Hedorah from Godzilla. But anyway, guys, let's jump right back into it. Please let me entertain you for the next 20 minutes, and let's jump right in. Alrighty, alarm chain, you're up. Okay. The human is at first taken aback by the entity's words, then loudly scoffs as she tries to deny everything. No, I wasn't. God, I'm trying to remember what voice I did for this thing. Okay, I remember. I assume he never said anything about it out of fear of sounding like a lunatic if he did. Wait, how do you... As for me and her, we go way back. You have to take a moment to process everything you just heard. So strange and complex it is. If this thing truly knows what Daphne was doing while you were alone in the living room, which definitely seems to be the case, then it's reasonable to assume it had been watching over her even before you encountered it yourself. And seeing as though it knows that you never spoke a word of that encounter to win in the time since, it's also reasonable to assume that it has been watching over you as well. But why and how? Before you can ask, the creature begins to speak once again. That's thrice now. Thrice that I've seen the two of you together. What's that supposed to mean? The entity pauses for a moment as it seemingly muses over this curious detail it noticed. It's unusual is all. Most people don't even try to approach her or brother once, and yet you seem oddly at ease alongside them. If that is meant to be interpreted as anything other than an insult, you honestly cannot bother to care right now. I don't like the way you're talking about my friends. Noticing your anger, the creature takes another moment to ponder before replying once again, its tone unflinching even in the face of your fiery temper. I apologize. I didn't mean to imply anything. All I meant to say was that it's one hell of a coincidence, and it likely won't be the last. Before you can ask for further elucidations, the entity turns around and begins to walk away, its steps echoing gravely in the air in a way that feels inconsistent with your surroundings. Though you're too stunned to react to the being's attempted escape, Daphne appears far quicker on her toes. Hey, wait up! You try to stop her, but by the time you notice what she's doing, she's already covered half the distance between you and the creature in a few big leaps. You don't get to run away this easy again. Daphne lunges after the creature, aiming for its head with a fast and precise strike, only for the creature to nonchalantly turn around and block her fist with its clawed hand as though it were child's play. What the... It shows when you don't mean it. With its free hand, the entity shoves Daphne back towards you, taking advantage of her moment of shock. The careless girl is sent flying through the air, only to graciously land a few seconds later on the cold, hard ground beneath her. Though she tries to get back up and continue the fight, a mere glare from the creature is enough to convince her to stay put. You can't rely on old crutches forever. If you want to be ready for what's coming, you'll need something stronger. Having seemingly said all it needed, the entity turns around and vanishes on the spot, leaving nothing in its wake but some ephemeral clouds of smoke. You stand there, dumbfounded, unsure of what just happened. You could spend an eternity debating over the events you just bore witness to, examining every detail in search of a coherent answer you're not sure you could even find. But before you can do any of that, you make sure to rush over to your friend's side and offer her a hand as she struggles to stand up. Are you alright? Daphne begrudgingly accepts your help, though it clearly doesn't please her to do so. Yeah, I'm fine. Great, I'm glad you're okay. No response. The girl keeps staring at the spot where the being previously disappeared, seemingly stuck in the same loop she was in after beating that thug. So, do you want to talk? No. Just like that, Daphne begins walking in the direction the shade disappeared in, seemingly intent on leaving you behind. Needless to say, that's a rather distressing sight. Wait, where are you going? Anywhere that's not here. Hold on, what the hell am I supposed to do with that guy? You motion to the still unconscious thug that lays on the floor behind you, but the human doesn't even deign him a glance as she moves on unperturbed. Throw him out the window or something. I don't care. I need a break. And with that, she opens the door next to the carriage and closes it behind her, effectively abandoning you to clean up the mess she made. You glance at the large rat snoozing on the floor, then at the door that Daphne left through. After that, you merely sigh as you sit down on the nearby chair, feeling completely overwhelmed. Dear Lord, what in the world's even going on anymore? Not long after, you finally reach your destination, a myriad of thoughts still swirling in your head. As you leave the train amidst the hushed whispers and curious gazes of the locals, you try to look for your friend among them, in vain. She evidently had no interest in sticking by your side any longer. Whatever happened with that shadowy creature back on the train truly shook her to her core. And the same can be said for you too, of course. You were hoping that the human could share some insights with you after calming down, but it looks like she'll need more time for that to happen. In the meantime, you pray that you did a good enough job stuffing that idiot in the baggage compartment under your seat. With some luck, no one will be able to find him until he wakes up. And hopefully when that time comes, he'll be smart enough to keep quiet about what happened to any would-be witnesses. It's not a great thought to leave the station on, but after everything that went down, it's the best you can muster. You walk through some familiar neighborhoods in your journey to Pandora's headquarters. The streets seem a little more packed than they were the last time you visited, though you can scarcely notice it, lost in your own thoughts as you are. Between that thug pointing a gun at your friend, the quick but nevertheless dreadful fight that ensued, and the new encounter with that mysterious entity, you just can't seem to catch a break these days. Even though most of this stuff happened to Daphne, and not to you. Daphne said you shouldn't concern yourself with her matters, but you can't help but feel worried nonetheless. There's definitely something wrong with your friend's family, you've gathered that much. But is it truly your place to worry about it? What if Daphne's right, and you're doing her a disservice by letting your emotions get in the way? You don't want to ruin your friendship with her and Apollo by getting involved in things you shouldn't, but at the same time... God, I need to take a break. The more I think about this stuff, the closer my head gets to imploding. I don't want Mary to see me like this, especially when I still don't know whether I should even mention what happened to them or not. You try to follow your own advice and wipe your head clean of these confusing thoughts, at least temporarily. If your hunch is right, you'll have plenty more opportunities to find answers to your queries, or more likely, even more questions without answers. But until then, all you need to worry about is not getting lost as you make your way to Pandora's main building. Not long after, you finally reach your destination. After everything that transpired earlier, the emblem that rests above the entrance to the building can't help but feel even scarier than usual. Maybe you're just easily impressed is all, or easily scared. Come to think of it, what is Pandora even supposed to mean? Is it the name of the founder or something? They've been around for a century or so, yet there's so much even I still don't know about them. Hopefully Mary will be able to answer some of your questions when you meet her in just a few. When you enter the building, you're immediately greeted by the vast and orderly main lobby. It's basically a big reception area, full of secretaries hard at work behind their desks and not much else. Your stays in this place have always been brief, but you have a feeling that today might be a little different. You make your way to the main desk, where a petite female blue jay in formal clothes and glasses happily welcomes you. Ah, there you are. I was told you'd visit us today. Yep, here I am. I apologize if I'm a little late. Nonsense, dear. Mary said you were free to come any time. She was very clear with me about that. Speaking of, I'll be sure to notify her of your arrival right away. Well, alright then. That works for me. Is it fine if I sit down somewhere while I wait? Of course, dear. Go right ahead. Encouraged by the young woman, you turn to look at the rest of the room. The lobby is full of people busy chatting amongst one another or working on their tablets or pads. However, judging by their very formal attire, they don't seem to be part of the staff. They're visitors of some sort, though to what end you can't say. Some of them already have their eyes on you, it would seem. Needless to say, you'd rather avoid having to deal with them at all if you can. Are there even any empty tables left? Oh, there's one over there. She points to a table in the middle of the room, which you somehow managed to miss amidst all the chaos. There doesn't appear to be anyone sitting there for the time being, so that could indeed work to your favor. Alright, thanks. No worries. Enjoy your wait. You wave the secretary goodbye with a smile and approach your newfound seat amidst the gazes and murmurs of everyone present. You've nothing left to do until Mary comes back to pick you up, but you have no clue how long it'll be until then. And it's already hard enough to ignore the curious gazes of all the onlookers as it is. Maybe you could go ask for more private waiting area to relax in. It wouldn't be too impolite a request, would it? However, right as you begin to get up from the couch, you notice a handful of people standing in your way. Among the small group, an elderly-looking man and woman are the first to speak. So, that's what a synthetic truly looks like. For some reason, I thought he'd be taller. Others begin to speak amongst one another, curious and excited looks on their faces, but their words are too muffled to to hear compared to the first twos. You're not sure what you're supposed to do in this situation. These people are clearly looking for a conversation with you, but you're in no mood to entertain one at present. And yet there's no way you could weasel your way out of here, is there? Not without making either you or Pandora look bad. I can scarcely believe it, honey. That's our future right there. Eternal life. Brilliant. Positively brilliant. While the elderly goose strokes the hairs on his chin while... Goose and hairs, okay. Alright. Well, you know, I've seen plenty of birds owners with fur, or with hair, so why not? While the elderly goose strokes the hairs on his chin while eyeing you proudly, his slightly younger-looking kingfisher wife smiles at him ironically. Now, don't get ahead of yourself, hun. You have to actually live that long first. The two of them laugh at one another in the most sardonic way possible, making you question whether what you perceive between them is animosity or wicked love. While you're busy pondering that, the lady turns to look at you once again. My, that body doesn't look half bad. Not at all. Carol, mind yourself. We're in public. The goose shakes his head as he addresses you once again. I apologize for my wife. She's very enthusiastic about you. Ever since learning about synthetics, that word has never disappeared from her mouth. It's all she ever talks about. Oh, don't act as though you haven't been looking forward to this moment either, darling. You're just as excited as I am. Again, the man smiles at his wife, though you can't tell whether he's being genuine or sarcastic. Afterwards, he fixes his gaze upon you for the umpteenth time now, inspecting you from top to bottom like a prize while he speaks. True enough. You see, I'm the manager of this famous shoe company. Not the biggest, mind you, but a fairly decent one nonetheless. I was getting rather worried as of late about what would happen to it in the event of my untimely death. Harold, please! Nothing would be more timely right about now! Good heavens, Carol, if you aren't careful, our friend here might just think you're being serious. After more mockful scolding, the goose smiles as he closes his eyes, his mind likely wandering into a waking dream. Either way, I obviously can't hand my company over to that lazy bum of a son I have. Even if he were interested, I'd be constantly rolling over in my grave knowing he's in charge of the whole thing. But with this technology, I just never have to. I could keep running the company for tens, hundreds, thousands of years. Like I said, it would be brilliant. Hearing this, the kingfisher steps up, loudly scoffing at her husband's plans for the future. Oh, Harold, there you go again, always going on about work, work, and more work. Me? I'd be taking things a lot simpler. Just a fancy beach resort, a comfortable deck chair, some fine martini. I've been on some long holidays before, but never one that lasted forever. It might just be what my tired bones need. Now, Carol. Who do you suppose is going to pay for that never-ending vacation of yours? Why, with you working on your business 24/7, it'd be remiss of you not to finance it, darling. Oh, there you go again. You're always... The room erupts into a seemingly endless squabble, with almost everyone pitching in to fuel the flames. Everyone's arguing about what they're going to do with synthetic technology. Some talk about work, others relaxation, others yet about finding love or a new family. You'd be lying if you said you never saw a more embarrassing spectacle before in your life, but this is still ridiculous. Not to mention deeply uncomfortable. There's no need to get so agitated. We can just... The sound of your voice is muffled by all the others, making you feel even more caged in than before. Every inch of you is telling you to run away, but you are simply out of options. You're going to have to endure this for as long as it... Oh dear, what in the world is going on here? As if answering your prayers, a familiar voice beckons you from behind. Yep. The whole crowd gasps in awe as Mary suddenly shows up, wearing the fakest smile you've seen yet. There you are, Isaac. I've been looking all over for you. The woman from earlier turns to face the Siamese, a wide smile on her wrinkled face. Ah, if it isn't the esteemed Dr. Shelley herself. It's an honor to meet the mind behind the synthetic project. The pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Mary's voice is cordial and polite, or at least it sounds that way to a regular person. It seems like you're the only one who can pick up the disgust she feels as she entertains a brief conversation with your groupies. Now then, as much as I'd like to continue with the pleasantries, I'm afraid that me and Isaac here have to leave for the time being. We had some tests and experiments planned for right about now, and we can't afford to delay them any further. Tests? Experiments? She definitely didn't say anything about that back at your apartment earlier. Before you can ask for clarifications, the woman finally turns to face you. Well, shall we go now? Yeah, let's... You don't even need to think before agreeing to the woman's request. having waited so long for an excuse to leave this place. You take the lady's hand and let her help you to her feet. You take the lady's hand and let her help you to your feet, then follow her across the room to a large elevator to the other side. It seems like you finally made it out of here. However, right before you enter the elevator, the old man from earlier just has to address you once again. Ha! Dr. Shelley, if I may. We've been talking about your synthetic for so long. We wanted to know how long it might take before this technology becomes safe for human use. The Siamese exhales deeply from her nostrils, likely in an attempt to avoid sighing right into your face. Right to their face. Unfortunately, we're still hard at work on our research and testing. It's hard to say for certain when it will all end. Until then, I'd prefer not to talk about any definitive dates. My team's already under enough pressure as it is, you see. Ah, but of course. I apologize for my husband. He's only got more impatient with age. No need to apologize, miss. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have some very urgent tests to run right about now. The elevator arrives just in time to spirit you and the scientist away, preventing the crowd from asking further questions. You wave back to them as politely as you can from within the lift as the doors close before you, until they're finally out of your sight. Only then do you allow yourself to lean against the wall and sigh, feeling absolutely drained. Good lord, I'm beat. I thought I was going to have to deal with him for the rest of the day at this rate. Yeah, sorry about that. One of my buddies needed some help with their software, and it seemed like such a small thing. It's alright, don't worry. I understand if you were busy. Though you try your best to raise her spirits, the cat appears a little reluctant to oblige. I just don't want you to feel like I'm neglecting you is all. I know my words yesterday left a sour taste in your mouth, and letting those people get their way with you for so long definitely didn't help me. She's right about that, you have to admit. The Siamese's performance from the other day didn't inspire the greatest confidence in you, and there's still so much about her that leaves you completely puzzled. Hopefully you'll have a chance to ask her what you previously couldn't today, but definitely not in the midst of an elevator. Besides, you have other questions you'd like her to answer first. So, am I really here to do more tests? Of course not, Isaac. We just needed a reason to get the hell out of there. Dear Lord, what an annoying bunch. I can smell their pretentiousness all the way from the elevator. Yeah, I can see what you mean. Who even were those people? VIPs of all sorts, I imagine. Managers, directors, well-known journalists, maybe even politicians. Modern-day aristocrats, essentially. Your legs almost give out upon hearing her say that. You had no idea you were talking with such influential people. Then again, you did meet with the CEO of Pandora twice already, so maybe you're getting a tad carried away here. What are people like that even doing here? Presumably they're waiting for a meeting with Jasper or one of his underlings in accounting, looking to talk business or to beg for some extra cash to line their pockets. Hell if I know what he actually does with them. The cat vigorously shakes her head at the thought, seemingly disappointed. They didn't annoy you too much, did they? No, I'm fine, don't worry. You try your best not to look too shaken before your well-meaning friend, though you have to admit that it's rather hard. They just caught me off guard is all. They all started talking to me all of a sudden, and I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, maybe talking to me is a bit of a stretch. They were more so talking about me. Right to your face? Yeah, it's always surreal when people do that. They all sounded so hopeful about their future lives as synthetics, but they still referred to me as though I was a museum piece. You silently nod in reply, feeling completely overwhelmed all of a sudden. You don't understand. Why would even the most fervent supporters of this technology still talk to me like they would a machine? Simple, because they think you are a machine. A simple and coherent deduction, but a confusing one nonetheless. Why would they? Because on the road to success, failure is supposedly inevitable, at least according to most people. I assume they think that all synthetics we create before our public release are failed creations, that we'll only let them become synthetics once we've engineered one that is actually human or something. That's just how people are, sadly. Nobody wants to be the first to try out a new and potentially risky technology. Everyone wants to be the last. Especially when there are so many suckers who can test it out before them. Hearing the scientist's words makes you sick to your stomach. There's no other way to react to knowing that even those who are looking forward to synthetics still view you as little more than an AI. As though you were a replica of what the real deal is supposed to be. Is this why Bradbury spoke to you the way he did yesterday? Because he thinks the true synthetics are yet to come? But that's not how it works, right? You didn't have any failed creations so far, did you? Well, not any known ones anyway. Sammy sighs. She faces you straight on once again, an unsure but hopeful gaze in her eyes. If we knew, we wouldn't be here today. All of our synthetics so far have given us no solid evidence one way or the other of their humanity or lack thereof. We have some leads based on their neural process analyses and behavioral patterns, but nothing definitive. We have nothing to disprove these people's fears at present, but there's also no ground for them to stand on either. As it currently stands, this project is still a shot in the dark, which, depending on how you see it, is definitely better than knowing for sure that we failed. In a way, Mary's words are strangely soothing, and knowing that you still can't say whether you're truly human or not is definitely better than getting caught up in people's impression that you simply aren't. The unknown can be a bafflingly helpful friend sometimes. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right there. That's been a new episode of No More Future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And leave a super thanks if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!